Good morning, all of you hardy people who came out this morning with a snowstorm beginning, and who knows what it will look like by the time we end today. We may want to cut coffee hour a little short today and let the staff move on, but there is coffee brewing, so do feel free to drink a cup, but maybe we should maybe not linger as long as normal today. My name is Reverend Laura. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the ministers who serves you here at First Universalist Church. I am delighted to be joined today by 4 worship associates: Gary Hoover, Nan Potter, I'm just putting you in order, Sherry Merriam, and Dallas Rising. I also have Amy and Paolo here today playing music, and we have John and Olu making it possible for folks to join us online from the comfort of their homes, and for you to all be able to see the hymns up on the wall. It is a joy to be together in all the ways that we can today. Here we proclaim the good news that you are beloved, that you are important, that you, just as you are welcome and part of this ever-expanding circle of love and care and connection in the world. And not only have we been proclaiming that message to each other, we've been sending you out to share it as well as part of your life, as part of your actions. It's the way that we transform the world to the beloved community that we carry in our hearts. This is who we are. This is the life of faith that we invite you into, a life where welcome, affirmation, and protecting the light within each and every heart is important. This is where we listen deeply to where love is calling us next, and where we act with humility and courage and compassion in service to justice. This is a community where we work to end oppression in all forms in our hearts, in institutions, and in the wider world. And whether you're gathering here or online, we remember and celebrate that we live in bodies, so we encourage you to tend to your body throughout our time together. Get up if you need to, move around. There's ample space today. You can be dancing in the pews, whatever feels good. And allow yourself to participate and respond in this experience we will have together today. There is no religious education today, so this invitation is especially true for our young ones and their caregivers. Everyone is welcome, wanted, and worthy in this community. So we are on our last day of December, y'all, and this past month our worship themes have been honest hope, lament, and sanctuary. That's a lot of themes, holy cow. Those are some big words. Our regular Sunday services and holiday services have helped move us through darkness by holding our grief and finding hope and connection. We've held services that have explored lamentation, explored joy in sorrow, and created sacred space for us to be together. Later in today's service, you'll be invited to be part of a ritual of lamentation, and we'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's just turn to one another, introduce yourself and your preferred pronouns, and just share, how are you arriving this week? How is your spirit? Is there anything you need to leave behind to be present for the next hour? And if you can make a goal of getting everybody in here a chance to chat with one another, that would be awesome. So how are you arriving today?
My favorite percussion, which is stomp, stamp, stomp, thump. I'll say stomp. As you arrive in body and spirit, let this stomp announce your presence. And would you feel how the place reverberates back with you, back into you through that stomp? The words are, gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power.
Gathered here in the struggle and the power.
Spirit, draw near.
Spirit, draw near.
We're going to connect our voice to the place through that stomp. We go, gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Your turn. Try it again. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Again. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Okay. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in one strong I had the pleasure this fall of working with Abel Selo Ochoe, who is this amazing South African cellist, composer, singer. He can throat sing like crazy. And he was here with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra doing a bunch of songs of his writing, all of which had like 1 million repeats. You know, you get to one groove and just settle in, buckle in, you're gonna do it for maybe 100 times. And he said to us and the audience that it's a feature, not a bug, obviously, of African-based musics, that we repeat, not because we're stuck or anything, but because we're discovering new parts of the music as we go back and circle and see new things about what we've just sung. So let's try that together. We're gonna sing this an almost uncomfortable number of times, but we're going to discover new parts of this round all the way through every single time. And gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit. Choose one word that you want to focus on this time. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit, draw near. 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 Spirit, draw near.
A lamentation for the first 100 days of this administration, created by the organizing strategy team of the Unitarian Universalist Office of Side with Love. Spirit of life, we gather with hearts broken open, souls aching, by the weight of the world, by the wounds of history, by the cruel persistence of injustice. How long, O Spirit, must our bodies be made into battlegrounds? How long must our earth be sacrificed at the altar of profit? How long must we abide by an economy of disposability where Black, Indigenous, people of color, transgender, and disabled lives are traded for another's right to exist, another's claim of safety? How long must this world run on stolen labor, stolen land, and stolen lives for the sake of greed and the lie of supremacy? We lament the silence that has stretched too long, the complicity woven into our comforts, the slowness of our response when urgency was demanded. We grieve the gap between our values and our actions, between the pragmatic and the prophetic. Forgive us for the times we have turned away. Forgive us when we have mistaken quiet for peace and civility and decorum for justice. But let this lament not be the end. Let our sorrow carve space for resolve. Let our tears water the seeds of uprising. Let our faith rise from the ashes, not innocent, but braver, wiser, and more centered in love. May we be the people who side with love. May we be the people who disrupt, who dismantle, and who dream. May we be the people who remember that we are always on the horizon of transformation, and there, may we greet our collective liberation. May it be so, and amen. May we, the people, light our chalice together with the words that we speak each week as we gather. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We arrive each week as complex individuals, some of us struggling to keep it together, whatever it might be. Finances, family, health, mental and/or physical, work, hope, clarity, energy, and so much more. Some of us come feeling calm, comforted by winter snow in a season when it was supposed to snow. Others may have opted to stay home, worried that the stress of driving in the snow would be the antithesis of going to church and what one hopes to find here. Some of us may come with duties of caretaking or parenting or both, of work that needs to get done, of demands that cannot be met. Many come with concerns about finances and relationships and what the future holds. And many come openly or silently living with addiction or with loved ones suffering from addiction. This very human experience of human life is humbling and beautiful and exhausting and invigorating. I hope that you come to know deep in your bones that you truly are not alone in however you are, whatever you are feeling. And that here you can bring your authentic self with your hopes, and we will all grow and be transformed throughout our time together. So now is the time that you can share your joys or sorrows with us. We're going to go back to the time where you can stand and say your name. Please introduce yourself and your pronouns, and then share a joy or a sorrow that you would like to be held in prayer here today. Please speak loudly so I can do my best to repeat what you say, or at least the sentiment of what you are saying. After each person shares, we will say our words together. You are not alone. We are holding it together. You may now begin if someone would like to share a prayer. Robin shared that there were 400 Palestinians killed in one day when it is, quote unquote, a ceasefire that is not a ceasefire. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Previously, I shared that my mother had a ruptured aorta, which is pretty serious. However, she is still alive.
Oh,
And I asked my sister what she thought. And my dad is still alive. And I think they threw too many years to prove that God is still alive.
yeah. Okay. Mary Kay is sharing that previously you had talked about your mom moving into hospice or something, like you really thought it was the end of her life potentially, and it, yeah. Got it. But fortunately, it sounds like the diagnosis was not as life-threatening as one thought, so that's wonderful. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Only two things she misses is her dog and her ability to smoke.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. That was, for those of you online, she said the only thing she misses is her dog and her ability to smoke. That's what the laugh was about. Oh my goodness, Cecilia Madison Johnson? Mad Johnson. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear sister. Happy birthday to you. Wow, way to come to church on your birthday. Happy birthday. We are so glad you're here with us. And may it be a wonderful day for you. We don't usually get to sing happy birthday. That was a nice treat on a snowy day. I can report on Deborah Talon. I visited her. She's had surgery. She had fallen on Thanksgiving Day and really damaged her ankle in a very serious way. She's had some serious reconstructive kind of stuff going on. It looks like there's a what's that called that they put up alongside buildings when they're working? That's scaffolding, like inside her ankle, it looks like, with all the hardware. She's now in a transition place where she'll be for 3 weeks, but her spirits are pretty good. Her friends are showing up, her kids are showing up, and she seems to be holding in there. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Jane shared that prayers for her friend who is moving out of her home today because of the effects of alcoholism. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Sarah shared that she had 6 brothers and sisters and her children with her here for Christmas, and that it was a joyful period of time together. You are not alone. We are holding it together. Yes?
Steve and I will be celebrating our 64th birthday.
Wow. Janet shared that she and Steve will be celebrating 64th. Wow, 64th wedding anniversary tomorrow. Wow. You are not alone. We are holding it together. I really need you guys to help me hold this together because clearly that part just does not click in automatically. Thank you, Paulo. For the prayers that have been spoken here and for those which remain in the silence of our own hearts. For the joys and the sorrows which lift our spirits and which pull us down, which remind us that we must be connected with others to make it through this life, with love, with compassion, with the gift of community and the gift of each other. May it be so.
All
Our offering today is going to the Ministers' Emergency Fund. We dedicate the holiday services and this final service in December to replenish the Ministers' Emergency Fund. We have a place, we have each other, and we have what we need, if only we share what we have. One of the ways we make sure that folks within and beyond the community at First Universalist have what they need is by sharing our financial resources. This morning, we invite you into the cycle of giving and receiving that allows all of us to thrive. If this is a time when you need to receive, please know that you can talk to any one of the staff here at church, and we have financial and spiritual resources to support you. If this is a time when you can give, your financial resources will help refill our Ministers' Emergency Fund. This fund is used to support people in times of financial stress, to stop eviction, to pay for food and medicine and medical care, for car repairs that allow someone to keep their job, to support a family with a first-generation college student as they make the trip to orientation. The need is great, the fund is low, and in order to continue to say yes when folks take the risk to ask for help, we need each other to give what we can so that we can all have what we need. Will the ushers please come forward? You can contribute by placing funds in the basket or by using the QR code. Thank you.
Paula, what a joy to watch you create on the piano. So those of us who identify as Christians who were raised with a connection to a sacred text of a major religion have likely been introduced to the language and idea of lamentation. For someone like me, raised in a liberal Catholic tradition, the term is ambiguous. I often think of lament as a deep expressed grief, a guttural cry in the wilderness with hopes that someone or something will hear that cry. The biblical Psalms point us towards practices of lamentation, although I've found that as people wrote about lamentation, they named different elements connected with it. So I decided to turn to our sort of Christian adjacent folks, the UCCs, the United Church of Christ folks. They created the Our Whole Lives program with us, so we're kind of kindred spirits. So I thought I'd look at their use of lamentation to see what kind of rises to the surface. They describe 4 elements of lamentation. First, turning to God, to intentionally address God with pain or confusion or disappointment rather than retreating from faith. Next is to complain. This is described as honestly verbalizing what is wrong without holding back any emotions. Express your struggles and your injustices to God. Once that connection has been formed and one has expressed what's going on, it's time to ask for help. This is referred to as petitioning God, asking for help and deliverance with clarity and courage, knowing God's character and what God has promised. And then finally, to trust, to express confidence in the love of God, which is steadfast. This final stage is a shift from pain and lament to hope and praise. Now, as a non-theist, one who often speaks thoughts or prayers to the universe instead of God, I find the language of lamentation challenging. But as I was pondering the topic of lament, I discovered a ritual of lamentation posted on the Unitarian Universalist webpage. If you haven't been to the Unitarian Universalist webpage, you may want to check it out. There's lots of good stuff there. This ritual includes actions of lamentation in 4 stages or 4 parts. As we've discussed it, we're not sure they actually are sequential necessarily. But lament, confess, petition, and intention. Lament, confess, petition, and intention. As we head into the new year and during this time of fascism and such great uncertainty, it feels like finding a way into lamentation could be a really helpful spiritual practice. I know I'm feeling it, I just don't necessarily know how to express it all the time. And as I and our worship associates grappled with the words and actions described in this ritual of lamentation, we found ourselves wondering if we understood these words correctly and if our reflections were hitting the mark intended by the ritual's authors and by the weight of the words for each part. But as UUs, we often enter into language of reverence or spiritual language with some discomfort. There are many in our faith who are purposely urging us on to claim religious language and to use it in a way that is authentic to our own beliefs. So I encourage you to do that today. Give it a try. Don't worry about how your parents, your prior priest or minister or some other authority figure in your life or in your head defines these words or actions. Let it go. Make them authentic to you if you can. Their meanings may change over time just like you do. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's just today, right now, an authentic grappling by those of us up here today as we try to crack open lamentation and offer ways to name something you may or may not choose to do in your own spiritual practice. Originally, this lamentation came out of a campaign called The Promise and the Practice. It was a campaign that was launched in 2017 by Blue, which is Black Lives UU. And it was when they brought to UU congregations and individuals a request for a long-term commitment to dismantling white supremacy, racism, and oppression in our congregations. We've done some serious soul searching over the past decade, and this ritual was created as Blue brought to congregations a full service with all the different components back in 2017. And like many elements of worship and components of worship, they've now sort of all been uncoupled and are just available as sort of like a la carte type of situation. So we're picking up the ritual out of time from that past moment in our history. It feels important to name the source for us to understand this collective journey to heal white supremacy and racism and oppression in our congregations, because this is continuous and continuously important work and something that remains central in our mission. So Nan and Gary and Dallas and Sherry have each prepared reflections on lament, confess, petition, and intention. We'll hear from them, we'll sing a bit, and then we'll participate in a really simple ritual of lamentation. I'll invite Nan to start.
Hi, I'm Nan Potter, as you might have gathered, and I use she, her pronouns. This is some of my lament. Have you ever been really angry with someone or so hurt by someone that it just feels like it's left a great big wound here that'll never heal? And then you start to realize that maybe that person is also in a bad place or struggling in some way. And you come to realize that you can forgive them, maybe not now, but eventually, or understand them. So here's a story about me. It's 1960s and 70s when I start. A terrible war was going on, and people were getting killed, not only in many other places in the world, but in my hometown. From my hometown. And there were people who were fighting for civil rights, and they too were getting killed in the streets and in the country. Some of our country's leaders were assassinated. And at the same time, there were people who were making beautiful new music and singing about alternative ways of being. And then also the drug market was beginning to come to small town Minnesota. I was a teenager, and I was confused and scared and hurt. My parents were unable to provide some security for me, and they were also just gone a lot. My sisters graduated and went to college. It was a disastrous time all over the country and the world and in my life. So here's where lamenting comes in. Guy Sales writes that the practice of lament rescues us from drowning in our uncried tears. We engage in lament because we recognize that the tears that we do not cry are the ones that cause trouble. And many of us, in at least our own cultures, are discouraged from crying. But uncried tears, Sales says, becomes a dark swampland of numbness, a fetid cesspool of despair, and a stale well of apathy. Now, I've lamented much in my life, and I have still uncried tears to come. But I regret that I did so little for justice in the 60s and 70s. More recently, I have lamented a lot about not doing my part to fight racism in our own church. It could be, I don't know, but it could be that is one of the reasons that we lost our beloved Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout. I grieve those losses and other losses that so many of us have experienced and encountered. But I regret most of all that I did not know how to connect with my mother. Much later in life, I look back and I realized that she and I had had fun. We played jacks. Probably a lot of you haven't played jacks, but that was our idea of fun. But we also watched Dick Van Dyke, which was a television series, which was really quite fun. Later, my mother told me that I had been a difficult teenager. I mean, imagine me being difficult. I remember that we began to learn how to have fun again when she moved in with my partner and me and lived there for the last 6.5 years of her life. But I never told her that I forgave her. And I never told her that I loved her with hugging and the contact of deep love. Now, Christmas season 2025. So imagine sitting, this is not a cold church, but we were sitting in a very, very big, dark, cold church, packed in, hip to hip. We were there to hear Handel's Messiah. And toward the end, the soprano came forward, and in with his clear, strong voice, she sang, "I know that my Redeemer liveth." This was one of my mom's favorite pieces of music. My heart opened. Not with joy yet, but with this deep, powerful, and rich lament. All that time, without physical contact, without words, all those unspoken actions that we could have done. Deep longing and anguish for all that has been lost in my family and in our country. And then came the grief and the fear for the future. I looked up at our singer, and I felt my mother's presence. I was in awe.
Thank you, Nan. That was beautiful and moving. I'm going to time myself because I'm abstract random, and if I don't, I'll lose track. You know, I want to talk about Bitter Tears, too, a woman named Bitter Tears. Most people would know her as Mary, but in this book, the First Nations version, an indigenous translation of the New Testament, Mary is known as Bitter Tears. She gave birth to her eldest child. He was called Creator Sets Free. Some people call him Jesus. Bitter tears cried when he was born. She and her partner had to flee from brutal leaders who worked for the people of iron, Rome. brutal empire. She lived her whole life under the thumb of that brutal empire. Her firstborn child grew up and became a lovely, loving man who taught people. He healed people. He fed people. He mended fences between enemies. The Samaritans and the Jewish people of his time were beating each other up, and he went out of his way to make friends with Samaritan people, being a Jewish man. Went out of his way. She saw him get taken away by ICE, essentially. She saw him get imprisoned, beaten, and tortured to death. And while he was hanging on a cross, he looked at one of his best friends and said, "Behold your mother. Take care of bitter tears. Mary, my mother." That's what he said. We live in this beautiful house of love. It is an impossible house of love. Our identity does not come from brutal empires. Brutal empires rise and fall of their own weight. This is what happened to Rome. Jesus, Creator sets free, talked about this. You can look at Matthew 23, 24, and 25 if you want to. Few people think of Jesus as a grown-up man teaching, but he said to the authorities, he pronounced 8 woes. He said, "Woe unto you." That means you stand in danger of hellfire. To the poor, he preached love. And he said, "I love you. You're part of the house of love." If you look around this room, I see beautiful people who belong to the house of love. I look out that window and I see my relatives, the trees, and they're beautiful. And you know what? They invite me into a community of love and life that I rarely even acknowledge. I don't even know it's there. Tennessee Williams is a playwright who said, "We live in a house burning down. All we can do about it is love. And all that will save us as the house burns down is love." We live in an impossible house that is always burning down, and it is always mending. Always, always mending. Look at that beautiful planet. It brings me joy. Now here's another book. These are just props. I'm not going to try to tell you what this says. It says on the front, "Goliath's Curse, the History and Future of Societal Collapse." Isn't that a beautiful title? Luke Kemp wrote it. He's a young scholar at the Center for the Study of Existential Risk. And he thinks about stuff like, gosh, why do empires keep falling into the same ditch? Creator Sets Free said, if those who cannot see or feel or hear lead everyone else, then everyone will fall into the same ditch. That was a saying. It's an old saying. And this is what Luke Kemp is asking. And he says that, empires are basically, history is the story of organized crime. The guys who monopolize weapons monopolize the food source, the water source, and the energy source. And they also monopolize other people's bodies. They tell you where you can live, where you can't live, if you can live, or if you can't live. So what we call civilization is just basically a long story of organized crime developing, becoming very corrupt, and falling. Goliath needs more energy and more food and more water all the time, never gets enough, and always falls under its own corrupt weight. Luke Kemp and others have said that when empires become really, really sick, they always are ruled by madmen. These men are malignant narcissists. Does that sound familiar? They are criminal sociopaths. In other words, all they know how to do is extract. They don't know how to love. They just know how to extract. And then the third thing is they're Machiavellian. That is, they take the most sacred stories and turn them into weapons to make people feel ashamed and afraid. So I'm confessing to you, and I'm almost done. I'm confessing to you, because I'm about confession as part of lamentation, that I have this fear of living under the heel of madmen in a collapsing empire. And yet, I live right here with you in the impossible house of love that has been here forever and will be here forever. And you know what? When we love, we enter into the eternal, impossible house of love, and we dwell there. It's all about love. So I see parents hugging kids, and I'll just say that is what it's about. All you can do is love. Amen.
Please rise and body your spirit. Join us in singing Abide With Me.
Hello, my name is Dallas Rising. I use they and she for pronouns, and I'm here to talk to you about petition. So the modern prophet Anne Lamott says that prayers essentially boil down to three things: help, thanks, and wow. And I am really good at the thanks part. I have a daily gratitude practice that's basic, but it gets the job done. I'm also pretty good at the wow part, especially about everything my dog does, because he is a perfect, holy miracle. But the help part, that one is tricky. It would mean that there has to be something on the other end to respond. And I simply don't feel confident asking for the intervention of a divine being. However, if you are a believer with a capital B, there is something called a petition, which is basically a specific request to a higher power, a deity, a divine being, ancestors, the universe, you can take your pick. But petitioning is asking for assistance, guidance, or some other kind of help. And there are many ways that this can be done, and the practice is found in lots of religions all throughout time, but the basic idea is, help me, please. But what if you don't believe in a divine being capable of or interested in fulfilling your ask? Or like me, you've been casually turning over the question of whether or not there's a God, but are mostly kept plenty busy with a bunch of other business here on earth, and thus don't feel it's a high enough priority puzzle to solve. Or perhaps not exactly like me, you reject the notion of a higher power altogether, but it still leaves us in this common boat of highly unlikely to beg an unknown for help. So if you're sitting in that boat with me, let's talk. But before I go too far into this, I will confess that there's been one time when I had an honest-to-goodness petition moment, and it was anything but casual. It was a moment of pure helplessness, when there was nothing that I could do to fix or save or intervene in the situation. All alone, I sank to my knees. I laid my head on the industrial vinyl upholstery of an emergency veterinarian exam room office. And I clasped my hands together and I prayed to I don't know who or what to please help my holy, perfect miracle of a dog survive whatever was threatening his life. We didn't know. To let the doctors and the technicians be the wisest and most capable healers they could be. It was a back against the wall act of pure desperation, and it was utterly awful. Did it work? I don't know. Oliver survived, and true to my agnostic nature, I cannot say it was God, or luck, or the collected wisdom, kindness, and skill of all the people involved, including Oliver himself, who showed up in that scary time that saved him. I still don't know. So hopefully you don't throw me out of our proverbial shared boat after this confession, because I want to talk about how we, the skeptics, the doubters, the uncommitted, can relate to this notion of petition, the help prayer. How can we participate in this spiritual practice in an authentic way? Asking for help builds the spiritual muscles of truth-telling, vulnerability, and connection, no matter to whom you're asking. So telling the truth about what's really going on with you. Do you know? How can you figure it out? Taking the time to figure out what is really going on with you, and then bringing that authenticity to another person or whatevs, that is a way to grow spiritually. And this feels even more important in a time when lies are rampant in our culture, our media, our government. Sincerity as a spiritual practice. Being vulnerable means that you're exposing yourself to the possibility of harm. I get that. And there will be as many feelings about this as there are people in the room today. Some of us are at a place in our spiritual journey where we are ready to take these risks. We have a support network we trust. We have the ability to metabolize rejection in a way that doesn't jeopardize our self-esteem. That's great. And others are in a space where we choose to be more protective of a heart that has been deeply harmed. That is okay too. So we can build these spiritual muscles in many ways. My coming of age program in the 90s, so we're going in the Wayback Machine for a minute, is much different than the coming of age program we have today. And one thing we did back then was go on a scavenger hunt. But there were a few rules in the scavenger hunt. One, we had to ask strangers for the items on our list. And two, we couldn't tell them we were asking because we were doing a scavenger hunt. We just had to ask. No context, no lies. We couldn't make up stories. So for those who have lived in this area for a long time, you might remember the GNC vitamin supplement store on the first floor of Calhoun Square, right next to the ProX shop where we went to bring our film to be developed back in the day to get physical pictures. You remember that? So imagine a 15-year-old me walking up to the employee who happened to be at the GNC store, working behind the desk, asking the man behind the counter for his necktie. No context. And this man, with reddish blonde hair and a beard to match, takes it off and hands it to me. And now imagine me bringing this tie back to my team and all of us realizing that there may be way more possibilities in the world than we had thought when we woke up that morning. And the hunt continues. And we're asking and we're getting no's and we're running out of time. And I figured that it couldn't hurt for me to just go back to the man who gave me his tie and ask him for another thing from the list. So I go up and I ask him for his shoes. And he gave them to me. And my life is changed forever. I think the point of this exercise was that we were supposed to be getting over our fear of being told no, some kind of getting over a fear of rejection thing, but the lesson that I got was much, much more than that. I did get over my fear of being told no because I was told no a bunch of times that day. It's fine. But I also learned that there are people out there who will say yes. They will. So if you are a person who isn't ready to open your tender heart up to vulnerability, there is still a lot of spiritual growth to be had in asking for things, even and especially even maybe when the stakes are low. It may help grow your faith in the generosity of others, give you a secure place to give others a chance to hear, receive, and hold you. Ultimately, the help prayer is the act of making an ask, and that's about connection. It's reminding yourself that you do not have to be alone, that you don't have to try and hold it all together all by yourself. And in fact, you cannot, and you were never meant to.
Hello, my name is Sherry Merriam, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm the final of your Worship Associates. I'm here to discuss intention. So this holiday season, instead of our annual routine, my husband Michael and I are not participating in the obligatory holiday visit. That grueling week where we spent every year more hours traveling than we did sleeping, all to maintain a version of home that was never actually safe. To set an intention for the future, I must first honor the past, do a little lamenting, and telling the truth about what would happen. 2 years ago at 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve, by now actually Christmas Day, after an evening of what seemed like enjoyable reconnection, my older brother suddenly and violently attacked Michael and me. My husband, Michael, who is blind, had to physically shield me from the man who helped raise me. In the exhausted and heartbroken aftermath, we did what we had been trained to do. We participated in the tacit collaboration of silence. We accepted the hollow apology texts, and we hid the physical evidence from my parents. But our Unitarian Universalist faith tells me that truth is a sacred thing. Honoring the past means looking at it with clear eyes and acknowledging that this wasn't an isolated incident. It was the culmination of a lifetime of dismissed abuse, excused criminal behavior, bullying, and a family culture that demanded that I be the fixer while remaining the outcast. The next year, my body began to tell the truth that my family wouldn't. The thought of returning to that house triggered panic attacks. I realized that the family I was trying to preserve was a script written by abusers and maintained by subjugation. I've been thinking a lot about why I am calling this an intention. In our tradition, an intention is more than just a New Year's resolution. It is a covenant you make with your own soul. The word intention comes from the Latin intendere, which means to stretch forward. By naming my boundary as an intention, I am stretching toward a version of myself that is finally allowed to be whole. I am moving from the passive stance of I can't go back to the active spiritual pivot of I intend to live in my power. My faith informs this choice at its very core. Our shared values hold love at the center, and that love must start with myself. For decades, I lived as if my worth was secondary to the comfort of a broken family system. I believed that being a good daughter meant absorbing abuse. But I had come to believe that truth-telling is a religious act. I intend to honor my past by no longer being the keeper of family secrets. It is a revelation to realize that you are not overreacting or being too sensitive just because the people who hurt you say you are. I am choosing to believe my own wisdom and the public records that affirm and validate the history I was told to ignore. My intention is to lean strongly into my chosen family. I am leaning into the love of the man who protects me and the friends and the church who have validated my reality when my own blood would not. I previously couldn't trust your judgment and encouragement because it was based entirely on my own reports, and I have been taught to disbelieve my own reality, worth, and truth. But now I am choosing a life that is no longer defined by those who tear me down with bullying and lies, but instead by those who build me up with authenticity and integrity. That is my intention. Over the decades, I have considered what family means. It's not about an obligation to those who harm us, even if that's what society says. It's about a covenant of care with those who truly see and love us. And I am so grateful to this community for that gift. To anyone else here who is carrying a secret that feels too heavy to hold, or who feels the pressure to fix that which is trying to break you, may you find the strength to name your own intention. May your intentions lead you away from harmful obligation and toward the sanctuary of your own truth. Thank you.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we remain, singing. Call me my friends, quenching my tears through all the years, singing.
All right, dear ones, we're going to shift a little here because it's snowing and we have heard, I think, just beautiful, beautiful reflections. Can we give them just a round of applause? I know it's not. I really was speaking to them about what a joy it is to lead worship with lay folks, and particularly show those who show up with such authenticity and vulnerability. I'm hoping that their demonstration of grappling with these ideas will inspire you to do the same. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to end the service, and then we're going to invite people who would like to stay to come up and do the ritual. But I want to honor the fact that we can already see the trees outside have gathered some snow, and some of you may be concerned about making your way back safely. So I want to just describe what the ritual will be. If you choose to take part of it, we'll have each of the worship associates who talked about a specific part of lamentation standing by the tables. Nan will be over here with salt, where you can put the salt from tears into the water and stir it as you think about your own laments. We have Dallas here with stars, who will be having you hold a star and being willing to ask for help. And you will be able to either leave the star in a container that Dallas will tend to with the ritual later, or take it with you. Gary will have a table over here with pens and cards where you can write down your fears or your hopes, whatever it is you want to confess to the world, to each other, to yourself. And then Nan over here will have Sherry. Sherry is over here with stones that are intentions that you can sort of pray into the stone and then slip into your pocket to remind you. I actually have had a stone with me all through the holidays from a Blue Holiday service over at Unity, reminding me of my intentions for the holidays. It's nice to have something concrete. So what I think we will do, Paulo, is we will move into the extinguishing of the chalice and sing Wo Ya Ya. Maybe we'll do Love It Will Guide Us to close out. Can we break that one too and do that instead? I know it will. So let me extinguish the chalice, and then we will sing Love Will Guide Us together. And then those of you who want to go, please feel free to, with no judgment and with blessings for your journey home. And those who want to come up, we will light the candles at our tables for our ritual and invite you to come. And you can come to all 4 tables, you can come to one, whatever feels best. So let me extinguish the chalice with the words we used at the little mighty congregation I served in Fridley. And the words are, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope, not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. So please rise in body or spirit, and we're going to sing out with Love Will Guide Us.